So welcoming her, welcoming the spring and her glorious gifts of beauty and more sunshine, some rain to nourish and nurture, blossoms and insects and moles and gophers and mowing of grass and all that comes with beautiful spring is here, it's coming, it's upon us. She has entered the vibrancy of life once again. So let's practice in her honor and enjoy the sensations of waking up that vibrant energy within ourselves through practice this morning. So I invite you to come and sit and get present with one another, with yourself, primarily with yourself. Take a moment, close your eyes, and let go. Let go of everything external, even the spring. Just begin to feel the inner reality of your state of being, both your mental, emotional, as well as your physical state right now, right in this moment. Without judging, simply accepting and allowing whatever shows up with love and a sense of presence and maybe some patience with the mind, particularly. Come and find your breath and feel the breath as it lifts and releases your chest and belly. And allow the breath to slow down with the encouragement from you, slowing the breath down and coming into that parasympathetic rest and restore response in your body, in all the systems of the body, including the subtle energies of the emotions and the mind, all affected by the breath. I'm beginning to feel a sense of tranquility and peacefulness pervade the inner being as well as the body. Notice your sits bones and settle in. Settle into the weight, allowing gravity to be present and feeling that influence in the weightedness of your sits bones and your legs, your pelvis, feeling grounded, stable, and supported by the earth beneath. And from that sense of stability, draw the energy all the way up your spine, all the way up and out the crown of your head, reaching out into the energy of the sky and feeling like a beautiful string of pearls suspended between earth and sky. Release your shoulders away from your ears. Soften your jaw, soften your face, soften your eyes. And bring an inner smile into your heart. And bringing some loving kindness into these moments we share. Practice for whoever resonates in your own being, whoever that may be. And I will use the pronoun you. You can say a name within your own heart. In the space that you are in, you can speak it out loud. Whatever resonates. Let's practice loving kindness together. May you be happy and peaceful. May you be healthy and strong. May you be safe and protected from inner and outer harms. May you be filled with loving kindness and forgiveness for yourself and for all others. And may you live and practice with ease and grace. May you be happy and peaceful. May you be healthy and strong. May you be safe and protected from inner and outer harms. May you be filled with loving kindness and forgiveness for yourself and for others. May you live and practice with ease and with grace. May you be happy and peaceful. May you be healthy and strong. May you be safe and protected. May you be filled with loving kindness and forgiveness. May you live and practice with ease and with grace. And please bring your hands together in Anjali Mudra right in front of your heart. Let's chant one Om, Aum, invigorating the parasympathetic nervous system and chanting this divine sound. Take a couple of cleansing breaths with me. Take a deep breath in and let it go. Take another breath in and let it go too. And another deep breath and we'll begin. And release your hands. Let them rest on your legs. Let your eyelids lift and the vision return to clarity with ease. Take a moment and notice your inner body once again. Perhaps toning into from the pelvic floor through the inner deep front line of fascia, feeling that lift and support by toning the inner being, the inner muscles, just a bit, and keeping that. Let's come to child's pose. Excuse me. Let's come to hands and knees first. And we'll take a few cat-cows to warm up the spine. Bring your knees under your hips and your hands, your wrists under your shoulders. Draw your belly in, turn your toes under, and follow your breath as you inhale, lift the tailbone, lengthen through the crown of the head. As you exhale, draw the belly in and up. Press the tops of the feet into the mat. Inhale, lengthen. Let the belly drop. Tailbone rises. Exhale. Draw the belly in. Look towards your tummy. Arch up. Inhale. Extend through the spine. Exhale. Flex the spine. Draw the belly in. Couple more of these, following your own breath. One more full cycle, both directions. And then take a moment, sit back, find a blanket. We'll be in child's pose for a bit. So take care of your knees if it feels best for you. Maybe bring a blanket between your thighs and your calves. We'll take slightly wider than hip width distance with the knees, and then draw the sits bones towards the heels best you can. Draw the belly in, draw the inner groins in, and lower down. Walking the hands overhead, lengthening the spine, and if it feels helpful, bring a block. Start with a block under your forehead. Take it slow and easy. We'll be here for a while. Do your best to keep your arm bones lifted up off the mat. Breathe into the back body, into the space of the sacrum, into the space of the kidneys, and into the space behind the heart in the upper ribs. Take a number of breaths just like that. You can always remove the block at any time. Draw the shoulder blades away from the ears and down towards the hips. Keep the arms active. And relax your face. Let your face fall right off. Notice your breath and keep the quality of your breath soft and long. Enjoying long, deep breaths in And longer breaths out. Breathing into sensations, perhaps in the groins and the hips. And we'll stay where we are for 3 more breath cycles. And then please bring your hands under your shoulders, spread the fingers wide, press up, and come back to table. Just send your hips from side to side. Then take your knees a little bit wider, maybe as wide as your mat. Sit back once again. Walk your hands out overhead, lower down. And take a deep breath as you send your right arm out to the side and then scoop it under. Come into a nice twist. Tenting your left hand so you lift the palm up off the mat. Keep drawing the left shoulder blade towards the hip. Soften your face. Stay with your breath. Some muscle energy in the arm overhead. And we'll be here for about 3 more breath cycles. And then bring your left hand towards you, press up. Both hands come back overhead. We'll take the other side. Take a deep breath in, send your left arm out, and then scoop it under. Bring the right arm overhead and lift the palm off the mat. Engage the muscles in the extended overhead arm. Maybe your shoulder meets the mat, maybe it doesn't. Either way is fine. And soften your face, soften your jaw, and enjoy your breath. Breathe into sensations as they arise. No sharp pain, but sensation is okay. Even though we tend to have resistance to sensation when it becomes a bit more intensified. Enjoy your breath. And we'll be here for just 2 more breath cycles. And then again, bringing your right hand towards you to support, press up, come back to table pose. Send your hips from side to side. Beautiful. So now we'll come to butterfly pose in yin, and we call it butterfly. In hatha yoga, we call it baddha konasana, or bound angle pose. Sit on 1 or 2 blankets. And you can use blocks for this. Bring the soles of your feet together. First, take your hands to either side and help yourself find the front portion, the anterior portion of your sits bones, please. And once you arrive on those, bring the soles of your feet together, and they can be in a diamond shape or closer in, if that's accessible. Accessible with a long spine. So if you find yourself hunching back in kyphosis, sit up tall. You can always rock and roll on your sits bones, finding that sweet spot and holding your feet. Support your thighs, support your knees, if that feels best in your practice. You can start with support, and then as you hold the pose, perhaps you move the blocks to the side. Or not. It's okay either way. Do your best to keep your spine long. Drawing your shoulder blades towards the back body, wrapping them onto the back ribs best you can. Draw your belly in, lift your heart, soften your face. Breathe. Deep breaths in, long breaths out. Soften your face if you're holding tension in your neck or your shoulders. Notice that and soften. Allowing the breath to assist. Deepening the breath in and letting the breath be long as you exhale. And we'll be here for 3 to 5 more breath cycles. Notice what's so in your body, what exactly is going on right now. Accepting what is in the moment. Our mind likes to attach meanings to everything, but it just is sometimes just the way it is. Not necessarily attached to some meaning. And to come out of the pose, gently release your legs, your ankles, your feet, wherever you were holding them, and then helping the knees come back up. And bring your feet out in front of you, maybe about the width of your mat. Sit up tall, bring your fingertips behind you, and just let your knees coast from side to side very easily. Keeping your heart lifted so you're not hanging in your shoulders, but lifted and long. Beautiful. So now we're going to practice swan in yin. Call it pigeon in hatha yoga practice. You'll bring 2 blocks to the front of your mat, the top of your mat. And this is where you could use a bolster. If you don't have a bolster, I would fold my blankets this way. If you've got 2 or even 3 to support, like this, just like that. If you have a bolster, you can bring it. And then we will want a blanket for the knees behind you. And then you can come to kneel on your blanket and step your right foot forward. Find your blocks and bring that front foot right under your knee. And then we'll heel toe that foot to the other side of the mat and let the knee drop. And the knee does not, or the leg does not have to parallel the front edge of the mat. The knee can come far beyond your foot. There's no need to have the front of your leg, your shin bone, parallel. Mine doesn't either. And then what you want to organize your back leg back behind you so that the knee is on the blanket. And then finding your blocks once again. Keep this front foot dorsiflexed so that you don't, what's the word I'm looking for? Curve your ankle inward. Sickle is the word I'm looking for. So you don't sickle through the ankle. And we're resting on both knees. The pelvis, the pelvic floor is lifted up off the blanket. Yes, the blankets or the bolster beneath you. And we're using muscle energy, drawing the shoulder blades towards one another on the back body, lifted by the blocks. You can turn your back leg, toes, under and lift that back leg and send the hips back a little further. Finding just the right spot, that sweet spot for you. So there is a stretch through the groin, through the psoas in the back leg, and there will be a stretch through the right outer hip flexor as well. And stay here. We'll stay here for maybe 5 breath cycles. Remember, sensation is just what it is. It's okay. As long as you're not experiencing sharp pain, it is beneficial, actually, to experience the stretch that sensation is an expression of. And as you rest here or remain here in this swan pose, do your best to wrap the outer left hip down towards the outer edge of your mat. So there's an inner rotation. We're inner rotating that back thigh. And then there's an outer rotation through the front thigh, drawing that right hip back, just like when we're practicing Anjaneyasana or lunge, runner's stretch. Just like that, we're drawing the left hip forward and the right hip back and giving a rotation through the pelvis and the hips. And from here, you can lower those blocks or bring your hands to the mat, whatever feels best for you, lowering down. However far is good for you in your body. Maybe you come onto the blocks in this way, bringing your forearms to the mat. Depending upon your flexibility at this particular moment in time, you might lower down farther. You might just remain here, deepening into this fold at the hip crease of your right thigh and hip. Doing your best to keep your spine from hunching over once again. Want to encourage length in the spine rather than a kyphosis, that hunched over forward head syndrome that's so prevalent in our culture these days. So just remain here for another 3 breaths or so. Remembering to inner rotate the back thigh, outer rotate the front thigh best you're able. Be patient and loving to yourself. Practicing loving kindness for yourself. And do your best, please, to relax your shoulders, lengthen your neck, tone the belly, draw the belly in just a bit. That will help engage the deep front line and lengthen the spine, keeping the core body awake is helpful. Feeling that stretch in the outer right hip. I know I am. That burn. So now to come out of sleeping swan, find your blocks and begin to press back up. Lifting through the front body, lengthening through the spine. You can turn your back toes under and lift that back leg and feel if there's a little more space, perhaps. Take a couple of breaths here, lifting through the heart, lengthening from the tailbone through the crown of the head. Good. And then to come out of it, we're simply going to rest onto the right hip, swing your back leg around, find yourself sitting on your blankets or your bolsters, and you can send your hips from side to, your knees from side to side. Take a few breaths here. Good. And then we'll come back, find our way back. Bring your blocks to the top of your mat. And start at the beginning. Step your left foot forward. Make sure that your legs are hip-width distance apart. Bring your front ankle under your knee. And then heel toe that foot to the other side of your mat. And let your knee and your leg fall just exactly where they do. Dorsiflex your left foot so that you're not sickling through the ankle, as well as the back foot. If you notice your back foot turning in, do your best to draw the toes right behind the leg. Turn your back toes under and lift that leg. And then set it back down. Maybe you get a little more spaciousness in the hip area. Again, bring awareness to both feet. Keep them from sickling. And we'll stay here for about 5 breaths. So we're not really sitting on the bolster or the blankets. There's a lift, and we're using muscle energy in the legs to stay lifted. And long through the spine, drawing the shoulder blades onto the back body, so away from the ears towards the hips, and not hanging, but lifting out of the shoulders. Engage your core. Stay strong, active. The legs are definitely active here. So we practice an engaged form of yin, not just hanging in the joints. From here, you can release that support and allow your pelvis to lower onto the surface beneath it. And then come forward, as however much that might be for you. Maybe it's here. Find what works in your body. Maybe it's here. Draw the belly in. And remember, we're inner rotating the back thigh. So we're drawing the outer edge of your right thigh down towards the mat. And just like in standing poses, doing our best to bring both hips into that same plane as the front edge of the mat. Lengthening the spine. Doing your best to avoid becoming hunched over or kyphotic. Staying long. Draw your belly in, stay engaged through the muscles of the legs. Breathe. You can isometrically draw your legs towards one another so they don't really move, but the muscle energy still remains engaged. Know that wherever you are is perfect, the perfect place to be for you in this moment today. Keep both feet from sickling, both ankles from sickling, especially in the front foot, dorsiflex. We'll be here for a few more breath cycles. Good work, everyone. And relax your face. And then to press up for swan, coming back up and out of sleeping swan, find your blocks and begin to lift up using the muscle energy in the legs. Lift back up as high as feels good in your body. Turn the back toes under. Just notice if there's a little bit more spaciousness in that back hip. And then rolling on to your left hip, swing your right leg around, and voila, you're seated on your blankets or your bolster. And you can bring both legs out in front and send them back and forth gently, using your hands or your fingertips to support. Wonderful. So now we can move our supports, our bolsters, and all but this one blanket that's laying at the back of the mat for your knees. And again, we'll use the blocks for dragon. We'll practice the dragon series. So you're going to want your blanket for the back knee. And we'll step the right foot forward, ankle right under the knee once again. Bring your blocks with you. Turn the back toes under. Make sure you're on railroad tracks, not a tightrope. And organize your spine, your shoulder blades. Draw the belly in, lift your heart. And turning the back toes under, lift that back leg up, just like in lunge. And stay for a few breaths. Again, drawing your right hip back, your left hip forward, so there's an inner rotation on the back thigh and an outer rotation on the front thigh. And stay for, let's stay for 3 to 5 breaths here. With a long spine. So if you find your head drawing down towards the earth, lift back up. Do your best to stay long and in alignment. Press out through that back heel. You're doing so beautifully. We'll stay for one more breath cycle. And then lower the back knee down. And you can extend the toes back behind that leg. And so now we're here in high, dragon flying high. That other one was fire breathing dragon, by the way. And we'll stay here for a series of breaths. Breathing into the stretch. And hugging the legs towards one another isometrically so their legs are engaged. A few more breaths here. And then, as always, there's some options in the Dragon series. You can bring your blocks or your hands to the inside of your right foot and sink down a little more if that feels available. You can rotate the right knee out to the side and bring your foot to the outer edge, your right foot to the outer edge of the foot, so that you lift the big toe and the inner heel up off the mat. Maybe, if it's accessible in your body, maybe you lower down. Feel into that. Doing your best, as always, to stay long through the spine. Feeling it in the outer hip flexors. And breathing into the sensation. Do your best to enjoy your breath and only go as far as it feels accessible and beneficial in your practice. And then coming out of Winged Dragon, as that is called, bring the sole of your right foot back to the mat. Stay for a few more breaths, and you can actually reframe the front foot with both blocks or your hands. And then bringing the blocks back to their tallest setting. Lengthen the spine, find your inner core, your deep front line. Draw the legs towards one another isometrically, pressing into all four corners of the front foot. And then turn your back toes under and lift that back leg and just feel if there's whatever is existing there now. If there's more space or if there's not, either way is fine. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, lower the back leg, back knee to the mat, and bring your right foot back behind you. And we'll take reverse windshield wiper, sending the hips to either side. Whew. Big stretch. And breathe into the hips. Lots of energy in the hips, lots of energy being released. Okay, let's practice the other side. So we'll step the left foot up and bring the ankle right under the knee. Make sure you're set up as on railroad tracks rather than a tightrope. Lengthen the spine, draw the belly in. Draw the shoulder blades down towards the hips, away from the ears, and then turn your back toes under, and we'll press up. Press up and lengthen through the back heel. Taking a few breaths here. You look great. It's wonderful to practice with you. Enjoy your breath, and you can isometrically draw the legs towards one another, strengthening the legs, strengthening the hips, charging up the inner core, the deep front line. Press into all four corners of the front foot. Do your best to draw the left hip back and inner rotate the back thigh so you draw the right hip more forward. Stay for a few more breath cycles. And if your legs tremble, know that you're building strength and know that you're not alone. Do your best to stay long. If you find your head hanging forward, lift it. That's it. Good. A couple more breaths here, lengthening all the way out the crown of the head. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, lower that back knee back down to the mat. Extend the toes back behind the leg. Continue to engage muscle energy in both legs. Draw the belly in, lengthen, breathe into the sensations. And at any time, feel free to bring that left block inside. Maybe lower the blocks a little bit if that feels accessible and good in your practice. If it feels good, you can rotate that knee, winged dragon, taking the knee out to the side, bringing your weight onto the outer edge, excuse me, of your front foot. Stay long, long through the spine. Listen to your body. If it feels good to come down, see if that feels good. On this side, maybe this side is different. Breathe into wherever you happen to be, doing your best to keep your spine nice and long. Beautiful. Stay with the breath. Breathe into the sensations. If you've lowered down, feel free to press back up. Keeping your spine long, you can bring the weight back into all four corners of your front foot. Lift your knee back into alignment with the rest of your leg. And feel free to bring your blocks to frame your front foot. Once again, lengthen the spine. If you find yourself propping up into your shoulders, then please lift up out of the shoulders. Stay for a couple breath cycles more. And at any time, feel free to turn your back toes under and then lift back up. Feel what exists now in that hip, what's available, what you created, what space was offered up by your sweet body. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, lower the knee back to the mat. And we'll come back to our reverse windshield wiper. Bring your left foot back behind you, hands to the mat in table pose, and then nice and gently send your hips from side to side. Wow, what an excursion for the hips. Letting go of lots of held energy in the hips this morning. So now we're going to practice dragonfly. And for this, we'll take a wide, we'll sit on the mat. You might want one or two blankets. I like to place them on one long edge of my mat. I'll try two this morning and see how that feels. And as always, as you sit on your blankets, bring your sits bones to the front edge of the blankets, which really does help in tilting the pelvis into that really nice 30-degree tilt, forward tilt, anterior tilt. And then you can use your blocks. And once you've arrived in Dragonfly, make sure your knees are lifted towards the sky or facing the sky, as well as your toes. And flex your feet, dorsiflex the feet, please. Press the heels into your mat. So you take any kind of hyperextension out of the knees. And you can remain with the blocks in front of you. You can stay seated tall, vertical to the earth, or if it feels good and is accessible in your body, you can take a deep breath in and lengthen through the crown of your head. Engage your core, and as you exhale, hinge at the hip. Come only as far forward as your nice, long, beautiful, extended spine will create space for. And if you begin to hunch, you've come too low, bring your blocks a little higher. Listen to your body and please stay long through your spine. It's never a good idea to hunch over in order to reach some destination that we think we need to get to. It's more important to stay long through the spine, especially as we become more wise, more golden in our years. There's enough of an influence from gravity to find ourselves hunched over. We need to really, really engage in staying long through the spine. This is my belief that I'm sharing with you. And we'll stay here with nice long adductors. We're really bringing it to the hips, stretching through the inner thighs. Press out, as you do press out actually through the soles of your feet. Do you feel the connection from the soles of your feet, your inner, your arches, as well as their relationship with your adductors, your inner thighs, and your calves? Feel the connection, that nice stretch. Keep growing the spine long, activating your core. Draw your pelvic floor up, so we're toning through the inner body. And remember to breathe nice long breaths in and longer breaths out. And we'll stay for a few more breath cycles. Breathe into the stretch. Beneficial stretch. Keeping those fibers fluid. On your next inhalation, slowly rise back up. And we'll take a twist. Take a deep breath in, draw the belly in. And as you exhale, frame your right leg with both hands. Just twist as though you're wrapping your ribs around the axis of your spine. Draw your right shoulder blade around to hug into the back ribs. Lower your shoulders, both shoulders away from your ears. Soften your jaw. If you want, you can look over your back shoulder, but you can just remain neutral through your neck and head. And breathe. Staying long through the crown of your head. Soft jaw, soft base. Active feet, active legs. Keep pressing into your heels. Stay for 2 more breaths. And on your next inhalation, come back to center. Stay nice and long and tall. Draw your ears back so they're right over your shoulders. Take a breath in, grow the spine long, draw the belly in, and as you exhale, twist to the left, bringing your left fingertips back behind you, right behind your spine. Or framing your leg, your left leg, with your hands, either way. Growing the spine long, breathe here. Wrap that left shoulder blade around and onto the back ribs. Soften your face. Stay long through the neck, through the crown of your head. As you twist. Nice, deep, long breaths in. Longer breaths out. Keep engaging the inner core to support your spine. Good. 2 more breaths here. Keep those feet active, knees to the sky. Take a breath in to grow the spine long. And as you exhale, come back to center. Beautiful. We'll take our hands to behind our knees and help the legs up. Sitting up nice and tall, you can send the knees from side to side with the breath, inhaling up, exhaling over. Feeling stretched and mobile, I'm hoping. And then bring the legs back up so the knees are facing the sky. And we will take half or full shoelace pose. So your choice, you can start in half and see how it feels to you. Let's cross the right leg. We'll start with the right leg. You can take the knee into your right hand and your foot into your left and just give a nice little rocking motion. And then on an inhalation, lift and bring it over, exhaling as you do. Bringing your right knee right out in front of you. Feel free to stay right here with muscle energy in your long left leg, toes to the sky. You can stay just like this, or if you enjoy the full expression of shoelace pose, which I happen to love, I don't know why, feels really good in my hips, very much sensation, a lot of sensation in the external hip flexors, but for some reason, I just love it. Keep your feet dorsiflexed so they don't the ankles don't sickle. Lots of muscle energy through the feet. Sit up tall. If you enjoy using your blocks to help support you, feel free. Use your blocks. Place your hands on your blocks. Lift your heart. Keep your spine long. Draw your belly in. Stay engaged. Or you can rest your hands on your knee, whatever feels best. Do your best to keep your spine long. Draw your shoulder blades towards one another on your back. Lift your heart. Enjoy your breath. So hips hold a lot of cellular energy held cellularly that relates to emotion. And I don't know why this is so, but it is so. One can experience a lot of emotional release, tears, all kinds of different sensations that release through the continued stretch of the outer hip flexors. So if something comes up for you as you sit in this pose, know that it's okay. It's okay to feel emotions or surges of sensations that are not cognitively understood with our minds, but arise nonetheless. We'll stay with this for a few more breath cycles. Okay, so to come out, you can take your hands behind you a little bit, bringing your fingertips to the earth, and then leaning back, bring your left leg, out in front of you once again. Then take your knee and your foot and give them a nice little rock back and forth once again. And then lengthen that leg out in front of you and give both of your legs a nice little shake. And we'll take it to the other side. So reaching out through both soles of both feet to start. Firm the muscles to the bones in your right leg. And then find your knee with your left hand and your right hand to your foot and rock that leg and in the hip socket a few times. Take an inhalation as you come out, exhaling to bring it around in front of you. Staying right here, if that feels good in your body, you can use your blocks to support. And if you enjoy the full pose, bring your right foot around. Again, dorsiflex both feet. Lengthen the spine. Lift your heart. Lift your chest. Draw the shoulder blades towards one another on the back. Engage your feet, dorsiflex both feet. I may or may not have said that. And soften your face. Lengthen through the crown of your head and feel free to use your blocks if that's helpful. Draw your belly in, engage your core to support your spine. Sit up tall. Breathe into the sensations. These intense sensations. Deep breaths in and long breaths out. Keep your feet actively dorsiflexed. Breathe into the hips, breathe into the stretch. And we'll stay for 3 more breath cycles. Again, to come out, take a deep breath in, bring your hands behind you, and you can lean back, extend your right leg out, unless you were already here. Then please find your knee and your foot and give the leg a nice rock back and forth. And then send the leg out long in front and give yourself a nice little popcorn up and down here. And then we're going to come onto our backs. And you can move your props off to the side. And may I suggest starting with your feet on the mat, bring your hands behind your thighs, draw your belly in, and roll down best you can. And then once you arrive, lengthen your legs. We're going to take smile pose. So for this pose, we'll start simply lying on the mat, supine, and then walk your legs out to the left. Cross your right foot over your left leg or over the ankle. And then take your thumbs to the sky as they lay alongside you. And on an inhalation, lift your arms up overhead. And then you can take your upper body, maybe just your arms, out to the left side of your mat. Smile pose. You can rest your right hand in your left overhead, or however it feels best in your body. Even here in this simple pose, please stay with your breath. Long, deep breaths in and longer breaths out. Breathing into sensations. Relax your face, the tongue in your mouth. May you be happy and peaceful. May you be healthy and strong. May May you always be safe and protected. And may you live with loving kindness and forgiveness in your heart, practicing with ease and grace as you live. And we'll release this side, bringing your feet back to the center of your mat and your arms alongside you. Taking it to the other side, bring both legs over to the right side of your mat, crossing your left foot over your right. And then taking the thumbs to the sky to align the shoulders, draw the shoulder blades under you. And then on an inhalation, lift your arms, thumbs overhead. And you can rest your one hand in the other. Walk your upper body over to the right side of the mat as well. So you might experience a deep shoulder stretch in this pose. Stay with your breath. You may experience a nice stretch through your psoas, your inner hip flexors, do your best to soften through the face, the eyes. It's a very passive pose. Breathing in and breathing out long, deep breaths. And just a few more breath cycles here, maybe 3. And then please gently bring your legs back to the length of your mat, your arms by your sides, lengthen your spine, and we'll come into our final resting pose, Shavasana. Bring some space between your legs. Think of yourself as a starfish, space between your arms and side bodies. Make sure your shoulder blades are under your back and your weight is even on your sacrum. Cover yourself if you like. Once you've arrived, take a nice deep breath in And as you exhale, let that breath go all the way out your fingertips and the soles of your feet. And another one just like that. Good. Take a breath now in between the spaces of your legs. And let it go. Now breathe into the space between your arms and your side bodies. Deep breath in and let that breath go. And another deep breath in to the space between your ears and your shoulders. And let that breath go too. And now, as though there's nostrils in the arches of your feet, take a breath into those. And let it go. Breathe into the space behind your knees. And let that go. And breathe into the little nostrils that live right in the space of your groins. And let that breath go. And then breathing into the little nostrils in your armpits. And then letting that breath go. Now breathe into the eyes of your elbows. And let it go. And into the palms of your hands. And let it go. And into your sternal notch right between your collarbones and the divot at the base of your throat. And let that go too. And as though there were nostrils in your eye sockets, breathe into those and let that breath go. And feel the skin as it drapes over your bones. And feel your brain grow heavy and rest in the back portion of your skull. Feel yourself as you sink into your mat, releasing all that doesn't serve your best and very highest good. Letting it go. Now begin to notice your breath. Notice the rise and the fall of your chest, your belly, soft and gentle, easy breaths as they flow in and out. Noticing your fingertips and your toe tips. Just noticing. And then rubbing your fingertips against your thumbprint. Wiggling your toes. Rotating wrists and ankles. Both directions, bringing movement to the body. And then take a really nice, feel-good stretch. Stretch out through your fingers and hands and arms and toes. Take a deep breath in and let it go. And then bring your footprint to your mat, both feet to the mat. And as you take a breath in, roll to your right side. Stay there for a few breaths. And then please use your arms and your hands to help press yourself back up, finding your seat on your mat and bringing your hands together in Anjali Mudra, just in front of your heart. Once you've arrived, bow your head to your heart with gratitude. With gratitude for the spring and for the blooming of your own heart. And with gratitude for one another. For all the teachings and the practices that assist us in our journeys. For all our ancestors. And sending love out to all beings. May all beings be happy and peaceful. May all beings be healthy and strong. May all beings be safe and protected. May all beings be filled with loving kindness and forgiveness. May all beings live with ease and with grace all the days of their lives. Please join me in one Om before closing our practice. Take a deep breath in and begin. Om. Thank you so much for your practice. Namaste.